Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I'm the Reverend John Cullinan, your minister here. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people and gather together in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are at this moment, at home or here in the sanctuary, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome into this community. I want to extend a special welcome to any first-time visitors or guests we have among us today. I invite you to meet me after the service and join us all for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall. I would love to introduce myself and answer any questions you might have about our community. And now, would you all please take a moment to get centered, feel yourself grounded, breathe in deeply, and breathe out. And let us begin. For this 1 hour, Spirit of life, we let go. For this 1 hour, may we let go of our anxieties, our fears, our anger, our self-doubts, our regrets, our petty grievances, and our distractions. If only for this 1 hour, let the flame of this chalice burn them from our hearts and minds, and light our way to peace and serenity. For this hour, come and let us worship together on this beautiful morning. Would you all please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 40. Remain standing and join in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Please be seated. First up, I want to light a candle of joy this morning for our DRE, Tina DeYoe, who yesterday passed her ministerial fellowship committee exam and is now welcomed into fellowship as a UU minister. On the sadder side of things, I announced earlier this week the death of John McLeod, a longtime member of this congregation. He and his wife Mia moved away this past January, to be closer to family. John was suffering from Parkinson's and Alzheimer's both together and was in a memory care unit. Unfortunately, he contracted COVID a couple of weeks ago. He passed on last Sunday in the early hours of the morning. He'll be cremated and buried at sea. There will be a memorial service for the family at some point. I have talked a bit with John's son. There may be a Zoom format for that as well, and as I get more information, I will let you all know how you can participate in that. But for now, as is our tradition, I light our candle of life for John McLeod. For John and for all of our joys and all of our sorrows, whether we share them with one another or we hold them close and quiet in our hearts, let us be together now in a moment of silence. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together this morning grateful for this time out of time, which we have set apart so that we might become more fully present to ourselves, to one another, to our communities, to that which we call holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. God of many names, the personal and mysterious, we have come to a quiet time, an interior place, a place for the deepening of spirit, the enrichment of soul. Let us have the courage to sit in the unknowing, to look for the answers even if they are to sit with our own questions, to be willing to be authentic with ourselves, to be ready to bring our face to the world. Let us be willing to know others by welcoming their genuine features, by welcoming them into the world, by appreciating the beauty that comes from seeing wholeness and truth. Let us sit in that quiet depth. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen. And if the young and the young at heart would like to join me at the front of the sanctuary, I have a story this morning. So this is a story about a land with no name. And the land with no name was known for its wise people. All of the great philosophers and scholars congregated in the land. And one day, the people of the land with no name decided that they wanted to figure out who was the wisest person of all. So they decided to gather their top 5 and put them through a little test. These 5 wise people, for some reason, who knows why, had never before seen an elephant. Had no access to the internet, I guess, had never watched a nature program on television, had no idea what an elephant looked like. And so the 5 philosophers were brought into a room blindfolded. I've just upped the risk factor of this story. And brought into a room with an elephant at its center. They were placed around the elephant and told to touch it where they were standing, and see which one could describe the best the nature of an elephant. The first philosopher was near one of the legs, and so he grabbed it and touched it up and down and felt its thickness and its roughness and its sturdiness and said, yes. An elephant is very much like a tree with a mighty trunk. The second philosopher was at the rear end of the elephant, and he had latched on to its tail, feeling it up and down, the flexibility of it and the sturdiness of it as well, and said, I don't know, friend. I'm starting to think perhaps the elephant is more like a coil of rope. On the other side, the third philosopher had grabbed onto one of the elephant's big ears and felt how large it was and how flexible and soft, and said, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This elephant is obviously kind of like a palm leaf, a big one that we use to shade ourselves on the beach. Philosopher number 4 was on the front end and had grabbed on to the elephant's trunk, feeling it up and down, its thickness and its flexibility and its rough skin, and said, I think we're all talking about a different animal here, guys. This elephant thing is kind of like a snake. And the fifth philosopher had come onto the elephant's middle and grabbed the body underneath and felt the girth of it and the weight of it and the size of it and the roughness of the skin, and said, "All of you are absolutely wrong. The elephant is kind of like a boulder." And then the five started to argue and make their cases. They bickered for a solid 20 minutes. It's a rope, it's a snake, it's a boulder, it's a leaf, it's a tree. No, it's not. Until at last, the people giving the test gave up and took the blindfolds off, for none of them had gotten it right. I mean, they had gotten parts of it right. They had each glimpsed a piece of what the nature of an elephant was, but no single one of them was able to grasp the wholeness of the elephant. It took all of them together to achieve something that maybe, sorta, kinda, approached what we would call wisdom. And that is our story this morning, and you can return to the intention table or keep on building here on the rug. I can remember vividly the exact moment when I started to question the faith that I was raised in. It was my sophomore year of high school at St. Bernard's Central Catholic High School, and our honors group was taking the morals and ethics class from one of the priests there. And naturally, we had all kinds of questions, and we wanted to stump the priest whenever we could, being smart-ass teenagers. Eventually in the class, the topic came around to abortion and the church's stance on that. And we had all kinds of questions that day. Where were the exceptions? Is it wrong all the time? What about this and that? And someone asked, well, what about if the life of the mother is endangered? What if she's gonna die if they go through with the birth? And the priest stopped and paused for a moment and then said, well, she's lived a fuller life. I think it's probably time for the child to have a turn. I think everybody has a moment in their lives when an adult says something that just kind of shatters your idolization of them knowing everything, and this one was mine because a voice in my head said, I think that's bull. We didn't ask any follow-up questions because we didn't want to get into it with the priest, obviously, at that time. But that was the beginning. I mean, it was a long road to completely separating myself from things. And the question, as it's filtered through my adult mind over the years, what was really bothering me in that moment, one, just the absurdity of how he answered it, but two, was that an actual moral truth that he was giving to us? Or was that just a convenient way of dodging the issue at hand? Was he Neo in the Matrix just kind of bullet timing his way around the question because he didn't want to get into it with a bunch of 15-year-olds? I don't know. But I think we all go through that moment at some point in our lives when the switch flips in our young minds and we start to question things. It doesn't help in my case that one of my teachers in that same school had a sign over his doorway that said, question authority, so we were being encouraged in that way. I don't know if the fathers would have appreciated had they known. But here's the funny thing. This is a common story. Whenever I do an intro class or pathways to membership class, and we start telling the stories of our faith journeys among us, I'm going to say, and this is a completely unscientific calculation, a good 75 to 80% of the people start their story with, well, I was raised this, and then I started asking questions. We share a lot in common in this room. I believed this, or I was told to believe this, and then I started asking questions. And then, rather than answering the questions, the minister, the father, whoever was in charge, the elder said, maybe this isn't the place for you. You need to have a stronger faith. So we get sent off in search of some other spiritual home or some place where our questions will be welcomed. Now, I'm going to tell on Unitarian Universalists a little bit here, too, to say we're not immune to this. Sometimes when someone in one of our congregations starts asking a lot of questions and we start getting worn down, often those people will be encouraged to go to seminary. So they can come back and be the minister that says, I can't answer this anymore. That was not my story, but it happens. You have to have a stronger faith. You've got to stop asking so many questions. Doubt is the enemy of faith. Doubt will destroy your faith in God. Doubt will tear the church apart. Doubt can get you into a lot of trouble. If you were here on Wednesday night for the Servetus one-man musical, you heard the story of way back when, what doubt could do to a community as Michael Servetus came to his own understanding of what Christianity was and what the Trinity was like and all of that, and John Calvin responded by just burning him at the stake. Doubting, once upon a time, could be deadly, and it still, in many faith communities, rips those communities apart, or at least shuns people for just thinking critically. One of our late ministers, the Reverend Robert Weston, wrote this, which I believe appears in the back of our hymnals as well. Cherish your doubts, for doubt is the attendant of truth. Doubt is the key to the door of knowledge. It is the servant of discovery. A belief which may not be questioned binds us to error. For there is incompleteness and imperfection in every belief. Doubt is the touchstone of truth. It is an acid which eats away the false. Let no one fear the truth, that doubt may consume it. For doubt is a testing of belief. The truth stands boldly and unafraid. It is not shaken by the testing. For truth, if it be truth, arises from each testing stronger and more secure. We are a home in our tradition for your doubts. Cherish your doubts. Those I don't know moments, those I'm not sure about moments that I think that might be, those are sacred. I don't know, for me, growing up was a hard thing to say because, of course, growing up in a tradition that was all about the catechism and here's your book with all the answers about your faith right here, kind of propagated an idea that having all the answers was what was expected. In college, I was working on my senior thesis as a director. And my advisor at the time would sit me down every couple of days to talk about the process we were going through. And he got bothered by one of the choices I was making, and I don't remember specifically what it was in the play anymore, but he's like, "Why that, John? Why? Why that choice?" And in my deep mind, I knew the answer was, I have no clue. But coming out of my mouth was, well, blah, 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 blah. Just start talking, John, and maybe you'll arrive on the answer, and you can tap dance your way and just kind of, get one over on your advisor here. And he said, no. What I'm asking you is this. Why that specific choice? This just happened in the script, and you made this choice, and why did you do that? And still the deep answer was, I have no clue. And still my mouth was saying blah, 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 trying to pass one over on my advisor to see if I could get by and just make up an answer on the spot. And he finally just held up his hand and looked me in the eye and said, John, it's okay to say I don't know in this situation. I don't know is the arrow that tells us where we have to study next, where we have to do the next bit of work. So when I say the I don't know is a sacred moment, I mean it, because I came by that lesson the hard way myself. And my project ended up all the better for being able to say it. It was a complete 180 from what almost everyone else at that university was telling me. Last week, I talked a bit about my journey into Unitarian Universalism, having the revelation that I thought God spoke to everyone in their own language, and I was arrogant to think I could pick any one of them as true. But the other piece of that, very similar, was having that I don't know moment and realizing that I didn't have a place in my faith home anymore. Because I wanted to ask questions, because I wanted to say, I don't know. And I found that was welcomed as well in the doors of the church that I had walked into. The freedom to doubt, the freedom to ask questions about what we hold close, about what we value, about what our principles are, about how we live together, about how we build a beloved community. The freedom to do that is our inheritance over centuries. It's built into the way we think as a faith movement. I mentioned last week, again, the Winchester profession of the Universalists back in the 19th century, who wrote up their 3 principles of faith, and then they had a little addendum at the bottom that said, of course, this is what we believe right now. If you find something better in your individual church, you're free to write your own thing. We're not going to hold you to this. It's baked into the system for us. Doubt is part of what has built us. Ralph Waldo Emerson doubted that Scripture was the only way to enter into a relationship with the divine and make meaning. He saw it everywhere and wanted to tell everybody else to look elsewhere, to look at life. And Hosea Ballou didn't believe a loving God would damn anyone to hell for eternity. He had doubts about that doctrine, and he wrote about it at length and found something that felt a little more true to him. And our humanists in our congregations in the early 20th century doubted that God was even necessary, or even the concept of the Judeo-Christian God was necessary in order to build a church community, that it could be centered around something else. It could be centered around the ongoing, at the time they said, perfection of humankind. And women in the late 20th century doubted that male language in our statements of faith and our hymns and our various writings of meaning, doubted that male pronouns were default for everybody and pushed for change. And the folks who are taking on the bulk of our anti-racist work in our movement, anti-oppression work, doubted that we have yet fulfilled all of the promises we make in our faith and push us to make good on them in deeper and deeper ways. Doubt is our inheritance, the thing that makes us better. It is the crucible that burns away all the unnecessary and makes the truth and the principle that we latch onto stronger. The truth stands boldly and unafraid, says Weston. It is not shaken by the testing. For truth, if it be truth, arises from each testing stronger and more secure. That's why we set ourselves apart as a home for your doubts and your I don't knows and I'm not sures and reallys. It's as important to who we are as a people of faith as diversity of belief is in general. Doubt makes up one of the cornerstones that we can build a beloved community on. Because we are building a faith around expressions of love at the center. And love is a big word. And it can mean so many things. And so we're constantly testing what that thing at the center, what that cornerstone is. Our questions make it better. If we are practicing together what I'll call a faithful doubt, that is a doubt that is open to being changed, to change our minds, a doubt that isn't just contrarianism for contrarianism's sake, because some of us are out there, I know. But a doubt that is open to a change of heart, a change of mind. Opens up those channels of love and those expressions of love for better connection, for deeper truth. A faithful doubt leads us, one, to a deeper understanding of ourselves, of each other, of our community, of that which we call holy. A faithful doubt, if we are practicing it, leads us to a place of humility. And that's what's lacking in so many faith traditions, in the one true wayers. Humility, doubting our own certainties, not just what others are telling us, but examining our thoughts and our ideas as we grow deeper into spirit and faith. Here, I believe that. Why? Am I right? Did I come to that honestly? Or am I just basing my religion on a bunch of hot takes? Because here's the thing. Every religion, including ours, is dealing in uncertainty, is dealing with the intangibles. We talk about love, but it's not something we can touch. We can't break it down to its constituent atoms. We're just making our best guesses about how it all works. We are all continually trying to solve for elephant, which forces us to be open to our own fallibility, to the experiences and expressions of others who don't necessarily match our own experiences. Therefore, it tells us where we need to explore next, what the next bit of work we need to do is. It tells us, if we are doubting faithfully, whether we've arrived at some great truth or we're just making a convenient statement to make ourselves feel comfortable. It is the thing that will tell us the difference between a deep and centered and understanding love and just mere tolerance. We need a home for our doubts and our questions. So welcome home, to your home for your doubts and your questions and your I don't knows. Be uncertain. Question authority. Without and within. Ask questions. Don't stop asking questions. I promise you, we will not send you away. I also promise you I will not try to force any of you into seminary if you start asking too many questions, unless you really want to go there. Be uncertain. Ask away. And accept what we discover along the way with some gratitude and some openness, knowing that we are all the better. This community is all the better for the asking, for the doubting. May it be so. watching the clock on the back wall through that whole sermon thinking, man, we're getting out of here early today, but no, it's just stopped. As we prepare to return to our everyday lives, it is time to give something of the gifts of this community back to the larger community we are part of. It is time for our offering. During the month of September, all cash and undesignated funds we collect will be pooled in our fund that we keep for the Afghan refugee family we have been sponsoring for expenses, incidental expenses that come up as they assimilate more into life here in Santa Fe. You may give through the basket this morning or through the Give Lafai app if you are using that. The offering will now be accepted. May what you give bring you joy and into deeper relationship with this community. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With these gifts, which we have freely given and are gratefully receiving, we say yes to the values of our faith. May these gifts help us live and serve our faith within and beyond our church walls. We dedicate them to the values and the vision we share. Important announcements and upcoming events can be found on the back page of your order of service, through our email announcements list, in our monthly newsletter, The Voice, through our Facebook page, but several to point out today because we've got a lot going on as the church year ramps up again. First off, James Carroll will not be doing his biblical literacy class today. They had a family emergency, so our next one will take place on October 22nd. I am looking for some volunteers to create a new team I'm calling the Chancel team. This is a group that will take some responsibility for making sure that everything's opened up properly on Sunday morning, because sometimes I miss some details, that everything we need to do for our ventilation protocol is opened up, make sure things are set where they need to be on the chancel here, and also handle the collection baskets during the service and the counting afterwards, and then making sure the opposite, everything is closed down properly before we all leave as well. If that's something that interests you or you think is a way you can serve in the church, please come talk to me afterwards in the fellowship hall. I would love to welcome you on board. Our Soul Matters Sharing Circle program picks up again next month. We are looking to add 2 more groups into the roster of our sharing circles. I'll be leading one. Britton Donnerl will be leading a second. Britton's will be on a Tuesday evening. Mine will be on a Thursday evening. These are a chance for people to go a little deeper with the themes that we're exploring from month to month through our Soul Matters program. Next month, the theme is the gift of heritage, and I'll be doing a 3-part sermon series on that. And in the small groups, you'll be sharing in some spiritual exercises and questions for reflection on the topic, and be able to share without anybody trying to fix your problems. Share while you're being listened to deeply, and explore a little more about what that theme means for you during the year. If this is something you're interested in, if this is something you have questions about, because it sounds a little odd when I say it from up here, again, come talk to me in the fellowship hall. I'll have a sign-up board with me if that is something you're interested in checking out. Our listening circles are still ongoing. They'll be going on through mid-October at this point. Many of you have signed up. Many have participated. We want to get as many people involved in sharing as possible. If you haven't signed up for a circle date yet, go talk to Jeff Franzak in the fellowship hall today, and he'll be happy to get you situated. Next Sunday, we are debuting our new version of how we're going to be handling new member classes and Introduction to Unitarian Universalism. We're going to be doing a monthly Inquirers class. These are good for newcomers, new members who haven't yet had a chance to explore what it means to be a member of the church, longtime members who just want a refresher. Each month we'll have a different topic related to the life of the congregation and to the history of Unitarian Universalism itself. You can drop in on any of these. You do not have to participate in all of them. There won't be an exam at the end of it. It's just a nice way to find your pathway into the church a little more deeply. Next month, next Sunday, is a Q&A session with your minister. I hear he's occasionally interesting when he answers your questions, so if you want to stick around for that, I'm here to answer any burning questions you have about our faith or our congregation. On October 14th, I'm so excited. Peter Mulvey is returning to do a concert here on that Saturday at 7. The last time he played for us was back when we were in the TRK building, so it's been a little while. It's great that COVID is allowing us to do concerts again. He'll be coming back. He's a great singer-songwriter, fantastic guitarist. He's gone on the road opening for all kinds of interesting people like Ani DeFranco and Emmylou Harris. It's going to be a great night, and I hope you'll join us for that. And then finally, the following Saturday, the 21st, you heard me say Tina passed her exams this week. We're going to ordain her into the Unitarian Universalist ministry on Saturday, the 21st, after which she will be Rev Tina. You're going to have 2 Revs here. It's going to be a fantastic celebration, very moving. Come and join us for that. We want to see as many faces as we can to celebrate this next step in her faith journey. And now, would you all please rise in body or spirit and join in our closing hymn, number 295. Oh dear. Friends, may life bless us and keep us. May the light of life shine upon us and out from within us and be gracious to us. and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we've been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.